The Path of Freedom, Vimutti Magga, of Arahant Upatissa, published by the Buddhist Publication Society, Sri Lanka. Salutation. Homage to the Blessed One, the Consummate One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Entrance into the subject of meditation. Chapter 8, Section 1. What is the earth Kasina? What is its practice of it? What is its salient characteristic? What is its function? What is its near cause? What are its benefits? What is the meaning of Kasina? How many kinds of earth are there? What is the earth sign? How is a mandala made? What is the method of meditating on the earth Kasina? Earth Kasina, its practice, salient characteristic, function, and near cause. The thought that is produced relying on the earth sign, this is called earth Kasina. The undisturbed dwelling of the mind, this is called practice. Delight in being linked to the earth sign is its salient characteristic. Non-abandonment is its function. Non-differentiated thought is its near cause. Benefits. What are its benefits? 12 are its benefits, namely, the sign is easy of acquisition through meditation on the earth Kasina. At all times and in all actions, mental activity is unimpeded. Acquiring supernormal power, a man is able to walk on water just as on earth and to move freely in space. He gains the supernormal power of manifoldness, the knowledge of past lives, the heavenly ear, and worldly higher knowledge. He fares well and draws near to the verge of the embrousure. Meaning of Kasina. What is the meaning of Kasina? Pervasiveness. This is called Kasina. It is even as the enlightened ones taught in the stanza. When a man remembers the worth of the awakened ones, the joy that wells within him floods his body through. So when with spreading earth thought, rose apple eyes suffused, the earth-wrought state is likened to the body with bliss perfused. Meditating thus, one causes this mandala to prevail everywhere. Kinds of earth. How many kinds of earth are there? Taking which earth as sign should one practice? There are two kinds of earth: natural earth, prepared earth. Solidity is the property of natural earth. This is called natural earth. What is made of earth dug out by a man himself or by another is called prepared earth. Earth is of 4 colors, namely white, black, red, and the color of dawn. Here a yogin should not add anything to natural earth. He should exclude white, black, and red. Why? When he meditates on earth of these colors, he does not get the after-image. By dwelling on white, black, or red, he practices color Kasina. Why? If a yogin meditates on natural earth or prepared earth, he will get the after-image. If earth is of dawn color, he should take that sign. Non-prepared earth. What is non-prepared earth sign? Level ground, which is free from thickets, free from roots of trees or tufts of grass, within the range of vision, and which arouses steady mental activity. This is earth perception. This is called non-prepared earth. A practiced yogin gains the after-image of earth, following either the difficult or the easy way, and dwells without falling. A beginner in the first meditation, Jhana, takes prepared earth and makes a mandala. He should not meditate on non-prepared earth. On making a mandala. How is a mandala made? If a yogin desires to make a mandala on the ground, let him at first select a calm place in a monastery, or a cave, or a place under a tree, or a deserted, covered place unlit by the sun, or a place on an unused road. In all such places, let him keep a distance of 1 fathom, sweep the place clean, and make it smooth. In such places, let him, with clay of the color of dawn, prepare the ground in order to cause the arising of the sign. Taking a moderate quantity in a vessel, let him carefully mix it with water and remove grass, roots, and dirt from it. With the edge of a cloth, let him remove any dirt that may be on the swept place. Let him screen the sitting place and exclude the light, and make a couch of meditation. Let him make a circle according to rule, neither too near nor too far. Let the circle be flat and full, and without markings. After that, let watery clay, unmixed with any other color or unmixed with special color, be applied. It should be covered and protected until it is dry. When it is dry, it should be etched with another color. It may be of the size of a round rice sifter, a metal gong, and may be circular, rectangular, triangular, or square. Thus it should be understood. According to the principal teacher's instructions, a circle is the best. The mandala may be made on cloth, on a board, or on a wall, but it is best on the ground. This is the teaching of predecessor teachers. Method of earth Kasina meditation. How should one meditate upon the earth Kasina? A yogin who wishes to meditate upon the earth Kasina should at first consider the tribulations of sense desires, and again he should consider the benefits of renunciation. Tribulations of sense desires illustrated in 20 similes. How should he consider the tribulations of sense desires? Because they produce little pleasure and severe pain. They are full of tribulations. 1. Sense desires are likened to a bone because of scanty yield of pleasure. 2. Sense desires are likened to a piece of flesh because they are followed by many sufferings. 3. Sense desires are likened to a flaming torch carried against the wind because they burn. 4. Sense desires are likened to a pit of glowing embers because of the great and the small. 5. Sense desires are likened to a dream because they vanish quickly. 6. Sense desires are likened to borrowed goods because they cannot be enjoyed long. 7. Sense desires are likened to a fruit tree because they are chopped down by others. 8. Sense desires are likened to a saw because they cut. 9. Sense desires are likened to a pointed stake because they impale. 10. Sense desires are likened to the head of a venomous snake because they are fearful. 11. Sense desires are likened to a flock of cotton blown about by the wind because they are unresisting by nature. 12. Sense desires are likened to a mirage, because they bewilder the fool. 13. Sense desires are likened to darkness, because they are blinding. 14. Sense desires are likened to hindrances, because they obstruct the way of good. 15. Sense desires are likened to infatuation, because they cause the loss of right mindfulness. 16. Sense desires are likened to ripening, because they are subject to decay. 17. Sense desires are likened to fetters, because they bind one to another. 18. Sense desires are likened to thieves, because they rob the value of merit. 19. Sense desires are likened to a house of hate, because they provoke quarrels. 20. And sense desires are pain-laden, because they cause trials innumerable. Having considered the tribulations of sense desires in this manner, he should consider the benefits of renunciation. Renunciation and its benefits. Renunciation, namely, good practices like the first meditation, Jhana, from the time one retires from the world, these are named renunciation. What are the benefits of renunciation? Separation from the hindrances, the dwelling in freedom, the joy of solitude, the dwelling in happiness and mindfulness, and the ability to endure suffering, accomplishment of much good, and attainment of the ground of great fruition, the benefiting of two places through acceptance of gifts. This renunciation is profound wisdom. This is the best of all stations. This is called beyond the three worlds. And again, what is called renunciation is the renunciation of sense desires. This is solitude. This is freedom from all hindrances. This is happiness. This is the absence of defilement. This is the super excellent path. This washes away the dirt of the mind. Through this practice is merit gathered. Through this practice, inward calm is won. Sense desires are cause. Renunciation is fine. Sense desires are defiling. Renunciation is non-defiling. Sense desires are inferior. Renunciation is superior. Sense desires are connected with hate. Renunciation is unconnected with hate. Sense desires are not friendly towards fruition. Renunciation is the friend of fruition. Sense desires are bound up with fear. Renunciation is fearless. Method of practice of earth Kasina. Having in this manner considered the tribulations of sense desires and the benefits of renunciation, one accomplishes happiness through renunciation. One arouses the heart of faith and reverence and meditates either on the non-prepared or the prepared. Taking food in moderation, one observes the rules regarding the bowl and ropes well. Bodily or mentally, one is not heedless and accepts little. Having taken a moderate meal, one washes the hands and feet and sits down and meditates on the Buddhist enlightenment, the law and the order. Through the doing of good actions and through these recollections, one becomes happy and thinks, now it is possible for me to acquire perfection. Had I not renounced, long would it have been before I reached peace. Therefore, I should endeavor earnestly, and taking the mat of meditation to a place neither too far from nor too near the mandala, about the length of a plough pole or a fathom from the mandala. One sits down with legs crossed under him, faces the mandala, holds the body erect, and arouses mindfulness from the very depths of his being, with closed eyes. After some time, one is able to exclude all disturbances of body and mind, collect his thoughts, and unify his mind. Then opening the eyes, neither too wide nor too narrowly, one should fix one's gaze on the mandala. 3 ways of sign taking. The yogin should meditate on the form of the mandala and take the sign through 3 ways: through even gazing, skillfulness, and neutralizing disturbance. How through even gazing? When the yogin dwells on the mandala, he should not open his eyes too wide, nor shut them entirely. Thus should he view it. If he opens his eyes too wide, they will grow weary. He will not be able to know the true nature of the mandala, and the after-image will not arise. If he faces the mandala, closing the eyes fast, he will not see the sign because of darkness, and he will arouse negligence. Therefore, he should refrain from opening his eyes too wide and closing them fast. He should dwell with earnestness on the mandala. Thus should the yogin dwell on the mandala in order to gain fixity of mind. As a man looking at his own face in a mirror sees his face because of the mirror, that is because the face is reflected by the mirror, so the yogin dwelling on the mandala sees the sign of concentration which arises because of the mandala. Thus should he take the sign by fixing the mind through even gazing. Thus one takes the sign through even gazing. How through skillfulness, namely through 4 ways. The first is to put away any internal lack. The second is to view the mandala squarely. Third is to supply the deficiency should a partial sign or half the mandala appear. Fourth, at this time, if his mind is distracted and becomes negligent, he should endeavor like a potter at the wheel, and when his mind acquires fixity, he should gaze on the mandala and letting it pervade his mind fully and without faults. Consider calmness. Thus should skillfulness be known. How through neutralizing disturbance. There are 4 kinds of disturbance. The first is endeavor that is too quick. The second is endeavor that is too slow. The third is elation. The fourth is depression. What is endeavor that is too quick? It is hurried practice. The yogin is impatient. He sits to meditate in the morning. By evening, he ceases to endeavor because of weariness of body. This is called hurried doing. What is endeavor that is too slow? It is to stray away from the way of meditation. Though the yogin sees the mandala, he does not dwell on it with reverence. Often he gets up, often he lies down. When a yogin endeavors too vigorously, his body becomes weary and his mind flags, or the mind wanders and loses itself in frivolous thoughts. When he endeavors too slowly, his body and mind become dull and lazy, and sleep overtakes him. Elation. If the yogin's mind becomes lax through losing itself in frivolous thoughts, he becomes discontented with the subject of meditation. If he, at first, does not delight in frivolous thoughts, his mind becomes elated through willing. Or again it becomes elated if he does many deeds through the will for happiness and bliss. Depression. The yogin fails owing to agitation and thereby partakes of uneasiness and dislikes the subject of meditation. If he dislikes the subject of meditation from the start, he resents activity, and accordingly, through resentment, his mind becomes depressed, and again his mind becomes weary of initial and sustained application of thought, falls from distinctions, and owing to craving, becomes depressed. When this yogin's mind falls into a state of agitation, quickly he overcomes and abandons agitation with the faculty of mindfulness and the faculty of concentration. When his mind falls into a state of negligence, he should overcome and abandon that state of mind negligence with the faculty of mindfulness and the faculty of energy. When the man of elated mind falls into a lustful state, he should abandon lust forthwith. When the man of depressed mind falls into an angry state, he should abandon anger forthwith. In these four places, a man accomplishes and makes his mind move in one direction. If his mind moves in one direction, the sign can be made to arise. Grasping sign. There are two kinds of signs, namely the grasping sign and the after-image. What is a grasping sign? When a yogin with undisturbed mind dwells on the mandala, he gains a perception of the mandala and sees it as it were in space, sometimes far, sometimes near, sometimes to the left, sometimes to the right, sometimes big, sometimes small, sometimes ugly, sometimes lovely. Occasionally, he sees it multiplied many times and occasionally few times. He, without scanning the mandala, causes the grasping sign to arise through skillful contemplation. This is named grasping sign. The after-image. Through the following of that, the grasping sign again and again, the after-image arises. The after-image means this: what when a man contemplates appears together with mind. Here the mind does not gain collectedness through viewing the mandala, but it, the after-image, can be seen with closed eyes as before, while looking at the mandala only in thought. If he wills to see it far, he sees it far. As regards seeing it near, to the left, to the right, before, behind, within, without, above and below, it is the same. It appears together with mind. This is called the after-image. The sign. What is the meaning of sign? The meaning of conditioning cause is the meaning of sign. It is even as the Buddha taught the bhikshus. All evil, demeritorious states occur depending on a sign. This is the meaning of conditioning cause. And again it is said that the meaning of wisdom is the meaning of the sign. The Buddha has declared, with trained perception, one should forsake. This is called wisdom. And again it is said that the meaning of image is the meaning of the sign. It is like the thought a man has on seeing the reflection of his own face and image. The after-image is obvious. Protecting the sign. After acquiring the sign, the yogin should, with heart of reverence towards his teacher, protect that excellent sign. If he does not protect, he will surely lose it. How should he protect it? He should protect it through three kinds of actions: through refraining from evil, practice of good, and through constant endeavor. How does one refrain from evil? One should refrain from pleasure of work, of various kinds of trivial talk, of sleeping, of frequenting assemblies, immoral habits. One should refrain from the non-protection of the faculties, intemperance as regards food, non-practice of the meditations, jhanas, and non-watchfulness in the first and last watches of the night, non-reverence for that which he has learned, the rule, the company of bad friends, and seeing improper objects of sense. To partake of food, to sit and to lie down at the improper time are not wholesome. To conquer these states is to do good. Thus he should always practice. What is the meaning of constant endeavor? That yogin, having taken the sign, always contemplates on its merit as if it were a precious jewel. He is always glad and practices. He practices constantly and much. He practices by day and by night. He is glad when he is seated. He is at ease when he lies down. Keeping his mind from straying hither and thither, he upholds the sign. Upholding the sign, he arouses attention. Arousing attention, he meditates. Thus meditating, he practices. In his practice, he contemplates on the mandala. Through this constant endeavor, he sees the sign, and protecting the sign in this way, he acquires facility. And if the after-image appears in his mind, he gains access meditation. And if access meditation appears in his mind, he, by means of this, accomplishes fixed meditation. Access meditation. What is access meditation? It means that the man follows the object unimpeded by his inclinations. Thus he overcomes the hindrances, but he does not practice initial and sustained application of thought, joy, bliss, unification of mind, and the five faculties of faith and so forth. Though he gains meditation strength, diverse trends of thought occur yet. This is called access meditation. Fixed meditation, jhana. Fixed meditation, jhana, follows access. This state acquires the power of mental progress. This is the power of application of thought, faith, and the others. This state does not move in the object. This is called fixed meditation, jhana. What is the difference between access and fixed meditation, jhana? The overcoming of the five hindrances is access. One overcomes these five and thereby fulfills fixed meditation, jhana. Through access, one approaches distinction in meditation, jhana. When distinction in meditation is accomplished, it is fixed meditation, jhana. In access meditation, mind and body, not having attained to tranquility, are unsteady like a ship on waves. In fixed meditation, jhana, mind and body, having attained to tranquility, are steady like a ship on unruffled water. Because the factors are not powerful, the mind does not dwell long on the object in access meditation like a child. All factors being powerful, in fixed meditation, jhana, one dwells on the object peacefully and long like a powerful man. In access meditation, one does not practice with facility. Therefore, yoga is not accomplished. It is like the forgetfulness of a discourse reciter who has stopped reciting for a long time. In fixed meditation, jhana, practice being facile, yoga, is accomplished. It is like a discourse reciter who keeps himself in training always and who does not forget what he recites. If a man does not overcome the 5 hindrances, he is blind as regards access meditation. These are the teachings regarding impurity. If a man overcomes the hindrances well, he gains sight, that is, becomes not blind. Concerning the accomplishment of fixed meditation, jhana, these are the teachings of purity. From the state of facility in the sign to the state of repelling is called access. Continued repelling of the hindrances is called fixed meditation, jhana. What is the meaning of access? Because it is near meditation, jhana, it is called access. As a road near a village is called a village road. The meaning is the same, though the names differ. What is the meaning of fixed meditation, jhana? Fixed meditation, jhana, means yoga. Fixed meditation, jhana, is like the mind entering the mandala. There is no difference in meaning between renunciation, meditation, jhana, and fixed meditation, jhana. Here the yogin, dwelling in excess, fixed meditation, jhana, or the first meditation, jhana, should increase the kasina. Increasing of the kasina. How should he increase? Namely, the kasina, which is a span and 4 fingers at the start, should be gradually increased. Thus should he contemplate, and he will be able gradually to increase with facility. Let him progressively increase it to the size of a wheel, a canopy, the shadow of a tree, a cultivated field, a small neighborhood, a village, a walled village, and a city. Thus should he progress gradually until he fills the great earth. He should not contemplate on such things as rivers, mountains, heights, depths, trees, and protuberances, all of which are uneven. He should contemplate on earth as if it were the great ocean. Increasing it in this way, he attains to distinction in meditation. Skillfulness in fixed meditation, jhana. If the yogin attains to access meditation, but is unable to obtain fixed meditation, jhana, he should affect the rising of skillfulness in fixed meditation, jhana, in 2 ways. The first, through causes. The second, through good standing. 10 ways. By means of 10 ways, he affects the rising of skillfulness in fixed meditation, jhana, through causes. 1. By the consideration of cleansing the physical basis. 2. By the consideration of equalizing the work of the faculties. 3. By skillfulness in taking the sign. 4. By restraining and regulating the mind. 5. By repressing negligence. 6. By overcoming mental inactivity. 7. By gladdening the mind. 8. By steadying the mind and fulfilling equanimity. 9. By separation from him who does not practice concentration and by associating with a concentration practicer. 10. By intentness on fixed meditation, concentration. What is the consideration of cleansing the physical basis? Through three kinds of action, one accomplishes the cleansing of the physical basis, namely, through the partaking of suitable food, the enjoyment of the ease of agreeable weather, and the practice of a posture that is pleasant. Simile of the horse chariot, by the consideration of equalizing the work of the faculties, that is, faith or any of the other four faculties should not be allowed to fall back through negligence. It is comparable to a swift horse chariot. Simile of the ink string, skillfulness in taking the sign. The mind faculty takes the sign well, that is, neither too hastily nor too slowly. It is like a skillful carpenter who, having determined well, pulls the ink string, lets it go at the right moment, and thereby marks an even, uncurved line. By restraining and regulating the mind, there are two ways. By these two, the mind is regulated. The first through intense effort, the second through profound investigation of the spheres. Or the mind becomes discursive, wandering to distant and unsuitable spheres, and is thus disturbed. Through two ways one restrains the mind. One arouses energy. One takes food temperately every day. If the mind wanders to unsuitable spheres and objects, one restrains the mind, having considered the evil results of such actions. Thus one overcomes in two ways, through investigation of various sufferings and through the search for the reward of evil deeds. 5, 6, and 7. By repressing negligence. Through two ways, negligence of mind is fulfilled, through lack of distinction in concentration and through mental inactivity. When there is much negligence, the mind becomes sluggish and torpid. This means that if the yogin does not gain distinction in concentration, his mind is deep in negligence because of mental inactivity. Through two ways one should repress, namely, through the consideration of merit and through the arousing of energy. He should repress negligence of torpor and idleness of mind in 4 ways. If he is a ferocious person, he considers the faults of negligence and practices the 4 restraints. Fixing his mind on the sign of brightness, he dwells in a dewy place, makes his mind rejoice, and gets rid of attachment. Through 3 ways, mental inactivity takes place: through insufficiency of skill, dullness of wit, non-attainment of the ease of solitude. If a yogin's mind is inactive, he makes it active in 2 ways, through fear and through gladness. If he considers birth, decay, death, and the 4 states of woe, owing to fear, anxiety, and mental agony, arise in his mind. If he practices the recollections of the Buddha, the law, the community of bhikshus, virtue, liberality, and deities, he sees the merits of these objects and is gladdened. 8. By the mind becoming steady and fulfilling equanimity. Through 2 actions the mind fulfills access meditation. By destroying the hindrances, the mind fulfills fixity. Or arousing the meditation, Jhana factors, on already acquired earth Kasina, the mind attains to fixity. After yogin attains to calmness, there are 2 states to be abandoned: that which causes inattention and that which causes middling skill. Separation from those who do not practice concentration means that a man who has not attained to fixed meditation, access meditation, or restrained meditation, and he who does not train himself in these or practice this, should not be served. Association with a meditation practicer means that if a man has attained to fixed meditation, jhana, he should be followed. Under him, one should learn. Him should one serve. 10. By intentness on fixed meditation, jhana, means that the yogin always reverences, enjoys meditation, and practices much regarding it as the deepest depth, as a fountain, and as a tender plant. Through the practice of these 10, fixed meditation, jhana, is obtained. How does the yogin produce skillfulness in fixed meditation, jhana? Well, through good standing. That yogin, having well understood the causes which induce concentration, enters into solitude. With the sign of concentration, which he has practiced, he induces in mind desirous ease with facility. Through this state, the mind acquires good standing. Through the arising of joy, the mind acquires good standing. Through the arising of body bliss, the mind acquires good standing. Through the arising of brightness, the mind acquires good standing. Through the arising of harmlessness, the mind attains to calmness. Through this calmness, the mind acquires good standing. Thus, observing well, the mind attains to equanimity and acquires good standing. Liberating itself from limitless passions, the mind acquires good standing. By reason of freedom, the mind accomplishes the one function of the law and practices. Therefore, owing to this excellence, the mind gains increase. Thus established in good standing, the yogin causes the rising of skillfulness in fixed meditation, jhana. Understanding causes and good standing well. In this way, he, in no long time, brings out concentration. The first meditation, jhana, that yogin, having separated himself from lust, having separated himself from demeritorious states, attains to the first meditation, jhana, which is accompanied by initial and sustained application of thought, born of solitude and full of joy and bliss. This is the merit of earth Kasina. 3 kinds of separation from lust and demeritorious states. Now there are 3 kinds of separation from lust, vis-a-vis of the body, of the mind, and of the defilements. What is separation from lust of the body? A man separates himself from desires, goes to a hill or moor, and dwells there. What is separation from lust of the mind? With pure heart, a man reaches a station of distinction. What is separation from the lust of the defilements? A man is cut off from kindred, birth, and death. And again there are 5 kinds of separation, namely, suppression, separation, part separation, eradication, separation, tranquility, separation, emancipation, separation. What is suppression, separation? Namely, practice of the first meditation, jhana, and the suppression of the 5 hindrances. What is part separation? Namely, practice of penetration, concentration, and the suppression of views. What is eradication, separation? Namely, the practice of the supramundane path and the cutting down of many defilements. What is tranquility, separation? It is a joy of the time when one acquires the noble fruit. What is emancipation, separation? Namely, Nibbana. Two kinds of lust. There are two kinds of lust. The first is lust for things. The second is lust for pleasure. The lust for heavenly mansions and forms, odors, flavors, and tangibles, which men love, is called lust for things. A man clings to this lust for things and attends to it. The separation from these lusts through mind and through suppression, this is solitude, this is renunciation, this is freedom, this is the unassociated. This is called separation from lust. Roots of demerit. What is separation from demeritory states? Namely, there are three kinds of roots of demerit. The first is lust, the second is hatred, and the third is ignorance. The sensations, perceptions, formations, and consciousness connected with these, and the actions of body, speech, and mind connected with these, are called demeritory states. According to another tradition, there are three kinds of demerit. The first is natural, the second is associated, the third is causally produced. The three roots of demerit are named natural. Sensations, perceptions, formations, and consciousness, which are connected with these, are named associated. The actions of body, speech, and mind, which are produced, are called causally produced. The separation from these three demeritory states is called renunciation, freedom, the unassociated. This is called separation from demeritory states. And again, separation from lust means the separation from the hindrance of lust. Separation from demeritory states is separation from the other hindrances. Reasons for treating lust and demerit separately. Since separation from demeritory states is preached, and lust as a demeritory state is already within it, why should separation from lust be separately preached? Lust is conquered through emancipation. Every Buddhist teaching can remove the defilements well. The separation from lust is renunciation. This is the teaching of the Buddha. It is like the attainment of the first meditation, Jhana. The thought connected with the perception of lust partakes of the state of deterioration. Thereby, lust is connected with the defilements. With the dispersion of lust, all defilements disperse. Therefore, separately, the separation from lust is preached. And again, thus is separation from lust. After gaining emancipation, a man accomplishes the separation from lust. Separation from demeritory states. Separation from demeritory states is thus: through the acquisition of non-hatred, a man fulfills separation from hatred. Through the acquisition of the perception of brightness, he fulfills separation from torpor. Through the acquisition of non-distraction, he fulfills separation from agitation and anxiety. Through the acquisition of non-rigidity, he fulfills separation from rigidity. Through the acquisition of fixed meditation, Jhana, he fulfills separation from uncertainty. Through the acquisition of wisdom, he fulfills separation from ignorance. Through the acquisition of right thought, he fulfills separation from wrong mindfulness. Through the acquisition of bliss, he fulfills separation from non-bliss. Through the acquisition of the twin bliss of the mind, he fulfills separation from suffering. Through the acquisition of all meritorious states, he separates from all demerit. This is just as it is taught in the Tipitaka. Thus, he is full of dispassion. Therefore, he fulfills separation from lust. He is full of non-hatred and non-delusion. Therefore, he fulfills separation from demeritorious states. Difference between lust and demerit. And again, separation from lust is taught as the emancipation of the body, and separation from demeritorious states is taught as the emancipation of the mind. And again, separation from lust is taught as the abandoning of discursive, sensuous thoughts, and the separation from demeritorious states is taught as the abandoning of discursive thoughts of hate and harm. And again, separation from lust is taught as eschewing of sense pleasures, and separation from demeritorious states is taught as the eschewing of negligence through indulgence of the body. And again, separation from lust is taught as the abandoning of the sixfold pleasures of sense and of delight therein. Separation from demeritorious states is taught as the abandoning of discursive thoughts of hate and harm, anxiety and suffering. Also, it is taught as 1. The mowing down of pleasure, 2. As indifference. And again, separation from lust is present bliss of relief from sense pleasures, and separation from demeritorious states is present bliss of relief from non-subjection to tribulation. And again, separation from lust is to get beyond the sense flood entirely. Separation from demeritorious states is the surpassing of all other defilements which cause rebirth in the sense and form planes. Initial and sustained application of thought. Accompanied by initial application and sustained application of thought. What is initial application of thought? To perceive, to think, to be composed, to excogitate, and to aspire rightly, though without understanding, constitute initial application of thought. Such are the qualities of initial application of thought. Owing to the fulfillment of initial application of thought, there is initial application of thought in the first meditation, Jhana. And again one dwells on the earth Kasina and considers the earth sign without end. These constitute initial application of thought. It is comparable to the reciting of discourses by heart. What are the salient characteristic, function, manifestation, near cause of initial application of thought? What is sustained application of thought? When one practices sustained application of thought, the mind dwells in non-indifference. Following that which sustained application of thought investigates, this state is called sustained application of thought. In association with this, one accomplishes the first meditation, Jhana. The first meditation, Jhana, is conjoined with sustained application of thought, and again the meditator who dwells on the earth Kasina considers many aspects which his mind discerns when working on the earth sign. This is sustained application of thought. What are the salient characteristic, function, manifestation, and near cause of sustained application of thought? Reflection, following investigation, is its salient characteristic. The brightening of the mind, this is its function. The seeing that follows initial application of thought, this is its near cause. Initial application and sustained application of thought discriminated. What is the difference between initial application and sustained application of thought? Similes of the bell. It is comparable to the striking of a bell. The first sound is initial application of thought. The reverberations that follow constitute sustained application of thought. And again, it is comparable to the relation of the mind to its object. The beginning is initial application of thought. The rest is sustained application of thought. And again, to wish for meditation, jhana, is initial application of thought. To maintain is sustained application of thought. And again, to recall is initial application of thought. To dwell on the recollection is sustained application of thought. And again, the state of the cause mind is initial application of thought. And the state of the fine mind is sustained application of thought. Where there is initial application of thought, there is sustained application of thought. But where there is sustained application of thought, there may or may not be initial application of thought. It is taught in the Tipitaka thus: the mind beginning to dwell on anything is initial application of thought. If having acquired initial application of thought, the mind is still unfixed, it is sustained application of thought. To see a person coming in the distance without knowing whether one is a man or woman, and to distinguish the form as male or female, is initial application of thought. Thereafter, to consider whether he or she is virtuous or not, is rich or poor, noble or humble, is sustained application of thought. Initial application of thought wants a thing, draws it, and brings it near. Sustained application of thought keeps it, holds it, follows, and goes after it. Simile of the bird. Like a bird taking off from a hill, flapping its wings is initial application of thought. And the planning movement of a bird in the sky is sustained application of thought. The first spreading of the wings is initial application of thought. The spreading of the wings, when it is continued long, is sustained application of thought. With initial application of thought, one protects. With sustained application of thought, one searches. With initial application of thought, one considers. With sustained application of thought, one continues to consider. The walker, in initial application of thought, does not think of wrong states. The walker, in sustained application of thought, induces meditation. Sustained application of thought is like a man who is able, while reciting the discourses in mind, to gather the meaning. Initial application of thought is like a man who sees what he wants to see, and after seeing, understands it well. Expertness in etymology and dialectic is initial application of thought. Expertness in theory and practice is sustained application of thought. To appreciate distinction is initial application of thought. To understand the distinction of things is sustained application of thought. These are the differences between initial application and sustained application of thought. Solitude, born of solitude. It is called solitude Because of separation from the 5 hindrances, this is named solitude. And again, it is the merit faculty of the form plane. And again, it is taught as the excess of the first meditation, Jhana. And again, it is taught as the meditation thought. What is produced from this is called born of solitude, as the flower which grows on earth is called earth flower, and the flower which grows in water, water flower. Joy and bliss. The mind at this time is greatly glad and at ease. The mind is filled with coolness. This is called joy. What are the salient characteristic, function, manifestation, and near cause of joy? And how many kinds of joy are there? Joy. The being filled with joy is its salient characteristic. To gladden is its function. The overcoming of mental disturbance is its manifestation. Buoyancy is its near cause. How many kinds of joy are there? There are 6 kinds of joy. 1 proceeds from lust, 1 from faith, 1 from non-rigidity, 1 from solitude, 1 from concentration, and 1 from enlightenment factors. Which from lust, the joy of passion, and the joy that is bound out with the defilements are called joy that proceeds from lust. Which from faith, the joy of a man of great faith, and the joy produced on seeing a potter. Which from non-rigidity, the great joy of the pure-hearted and the virtuous. Which from solitude, the joy of the individual who enters the first meditation, Jhana. Which from concentration, the joy of the individual who enters the second meditation, Jhana. Which from the enlightenment factors, the joy that follows the treading of the supramundane path in the second meditation, Jhana. 5 kinds of joy. And again it is taught that there are 5 kinds of joy, namely the lesser thrill, momentary joy, streaming joy, swiftly going joy, all-pervading joy. The lesser thrill is like the raising of the hairs of the body caused by being wet with fine rain. Momentary joy suddenly arises and suddenly passes away. It is comparable to showers at night. Streaming joy is like oil that streaks down the body without spreading. Swiftly going joy is joy that spreads through the mind and vanishes not long after. It is comparable to the store of a poor man. All-pervading joy, permeating the body, continues. It is like a thundercloud that is full of rain. Thus the lesser thrill and the momentary joy cause the arising of the excess through faith. Streaming joy, becoming powerful, causes the arising of the excess. Swiftly going joy, dwelling on the mandala, causes the arising of both the good and the bad, and depends on skill. All-pervading joy is produced in the state of fixed meditation. Bliss. What is bliss? Contact with the lovable and the ease-giving is bliss. What are the salient characteristic, function, manifestation, and near cause of bliss? How many kinds of bliss are there? What are the differences between joy and bliss? Its function, its salient characteristic, dependence on an agreeable object. This is its agreeable function. Peaceful persuasion is its manifestation. tranquility is its near cause. 5 kinds of bliss. How many kinds of bliss are there? There are 5 kinds of bliss, namely, caused bliss, fundamental bliss, the bliss of solitude, the bliss of non-defilement, the bliss of feeling. What is called caused bliss? Thus it is according to the Buddhist teaching. The bliss of virtue lasts long. This is called caused bliss. This is a merit of bliss. Thus is fundamental bliss according to the Buddhist teaching. The enlightened one produces worldly bliss. The bliss of solitude is a development of concentration, indifference, and the destruction of meditation, jhana. The bliss of non-defilement is, according to the Buddhist teaching, highest nibbana. The bliss of dwelling is generally called the bliss of dwelling. According to this treatise, the bliss of dwelling should be enjoyed. Differences between joy and bliss. What are the differences between joy and bliss? Buoyancy is joy. Ease of mind is bliss. Tranquility of mind is bliss. Concentration of mind is joy. Joy is cause. Bliss is fine. Joy belongs to the formation group. Bliss belongs to the sensation group. Where there is joy, there is bliss. But where there is bliss, there may or may not be joy. First meditation, jhana. The first is the basis for producing the second. After accomplishing the excess, one enters the first meditation, jhana. The meditation factors are initial application of thought and sustained application of thought, joy, bliss, and unification of mind. What is meditation, jhana? It is equalized meditation on an object. It is the plucking out of the 5 hindrances. It is to meditate and to overcome. Enters the first meditation, jhana, and acquires good standing. Having already acquired, having already touched, having already proved, one dwells. And again thus is separation from last and demeritorious states. The first meditation, jhana, is called the special characteristic of separation from the world of sense. The second meditation, jhana, has a special characteristic of separation from initial application and sustained application of thought. In solitude are joy and bliss. Therefore, joy and bliss are called the special characteristics of solitude. And again thus is separation from last and demeritorious states. It is to remove well and to overcome well. With initial application and sustained application of thought, this is said to be the characteristic of the first meditation, jhana. Joy and bliss, born of solitude. This state resembles meditation. Acquires good standing, enters and dwells. One acquires the first meditation, jhana, separates from 5 factors, fulfills 5 factors, 3 kinds of goodness, 10 characteristics, and accomplishes the 25 merits. With these merits, one can obtain rebirth in the Brahma or the Deva world. 5 hindrances. Separation from 5 factors. This is separation from the 5 hindrances. What are the 5? Sense desire, ill will, rigidity and torpor, agitation and anxiety, uncertainty. Sense desire. This refers to a mind defiled by the dust of passion. Ill will. This is the practice of the 10 defilements. Rigidity. This is negligence of the mind. Torpor. This is the desire for sleep owing to heaviness of the body. There are 3 kinds of torpor. The first proceeds from food, the second from time, the third from the mind. If it proceeds from the mind, one removes it with meditation. If it proceeds from food and time, as in the case of the Arahant, because it does not proceed from the mind, it is not a hindrance. If it proceeds from food and time, one cuts it with energy, as the Venerable Elder Aniruddha taught. Since first I destroyed the cankers for 55 years, have I not slept the sleep that proceeds from the mind? And during this period for 25 years, have I removed the sleep that proceeds from food and time? If torpor is a bodily state, how can it be a mental defilement? The body is produced only by mental defilement. It is like a man drinking wine and taking food. Thus should it be known. If torpor is a bodily state and rigidity is a mental property, how do these 2 states unite and become one hindrance? These 2 states have one object and one function. What are called torpor and rigidity become one. Agitation is non-tranquility of mind. Anxiety is unsteadiness of mind. The characteristics of these are equal. Therefore, they become one hindrance. Uncertainty is the clinging of the mind to diverse objects. There are 4 kinds of uncertainty. The first is a hindrance to serenity, the second to insight, the third to both, and the fourth to things non-doctrinal. Here is serenity won through the ending of these uncertainties, or is it possible or not to win tranquility while having these uncertainties, or the uncertainty concerning the self? If one has that uncertainty, it is called a hindrance to serenity. Uncertainty concerning the 4 Noble Truths and the 3 Wills is called a hindrance to insight. Uncertainty concerning the Buddha, the law, and the community of bhikshus is called a hindrance to both. Uncertainty concerning things like country, town, road, name of man or woman is called hindrance to things non-doctrinal. Uncertainty concerning the discourses is a hindrance to solitude. Thus should these be understood. What is the meaning of hindrance? Hindrance to vehicle, superposing, defilement, factor. These are obvious. There are many factors such as those which cover the defilements and others. They are factors. Then why are only 5 hindrances taught? Because these 5 include all. And again, the attachment to sense desires includes all attachment to passion. All demeritorious states of hatred are included in the attachment to anger, and all demeritorious states of infatuation are included in the attachment to rigidity and torpor, agitation and anxiety and uncertainty. Thus all defilements are included in the attachment to the 5 hindrances. Because of this, the 5 hindrances are taught. 5 factors. 5 factors. These are fulfilled through the fulfillment of initial and sustained application of thought, joy, bliss, and unification of mind. It is said that the 5 factors together constitute the first meditation, jhana. Therefore, it cannot be said that there is a meditation, jhana, outside the 5 factors. If there is a meditation, jhana, outside the 5 factors, how can it be said that the first meditation, jhana, consists of the 5 factors? Similes of chariot and army. By means of the meditation, jhana, factors, meditation jhana is fulfilled. There is no meditation jhana separate from meditation jhana factors. Such meditation jhana there is not. One can speak of a chariot because of all the parts of a chariot. There is no chariot outside the parts. Owing to all the parts of an army, one can speak of an army. There is no army separate from the parts. Thus, owing to meditation jhana factors, it is called meditation jhana. There is no meditation jhana separate from the meditation jhana factors. The factors combined are named meditation jhana. Separately, they are named factors. It is taught that the object is called meditation jhana and the attributes factors. By way of clan, they are meditation jhanas. By way of caste, they are factors. In spite of there being mindfulness, energy, and others, why are only 5 factors taught? Because these 5 factors, through combination, accomplish meditation jhana. What are the characteristics of combination? Initial application of thought follows the object of mind and acquires fixed meditation. Sustained application of thought goes together with the observing mind. When initial and sustained application of thought are unmixed, they cause the arising of skillfulness. If one is skillful, one produces joy and bliss. If one is skillful, one can produce the heart of joy, and after increasing that, produce the heart of bliss. With these 4 qualities, the mind becomes peaceful. If the mind becomes peaceful, it acquires concentration. These are called the characteristics of combination. Thus these 5, through combination, accomplish meditation jhana. And again the hindrances are overcome by the perfection of the 5. The overcoming of the first hindrance is the first meditation jhana. Thus the overcoming of the 5 hindrances results in 5 meditations jhanas. In the first meditation jhana, initial application of thought is a special factor. Through initial application of thought, lust is abandoned. If initial application of thought enters into right concentration, the other factors are also awakened. Among the 5 factors, sustained application of thought is the beginning of the second meditation, joy of the third meditation, bliss of the 4th, and unification of mind of the 5th. These are the special factors of the meditations jhanas. And again, with the overcoming of the 5 hindrances, the 5 are fulfilled as it is taught in the Tipitaka. Unification of mind is the overcoming of the sensuous desire. Joy is the overcoming of anger. Initial application of thought is the overcoming of rigidity and torpor. Bliss is the overcoming of agitation and anxiety. Sustained application of thought is the overcoming of uncertainty. Thus, through the overcoming of the hindrances, the 5 are fulfilled. Meditating on the earth Kasina sign, how does the yogin cause the arising of joy and bliss? The earth Kasina does not bring joy and bliss. They, joy and bliss, naturally follow the separation from the 5 hindrances. Thus the Sun of Truth causes the arising of joy and bliss. If that be so, why does the Sun of Truth not arouse joy and bliss in the 4th meditation, Jhana? Because it is not a suitable state, and because he removes joy and bliss in the 4th meditation, Jhana, and again because of his having skillfully rooted out the joy and bliss which he caused to arise at first, and because he, seeing the tribulation of bliss, forsakes it and attaches himself to deep tranquility. For these reasons, he does not cause the arising of joy and bliss. 3 kinds of goodness. The 3 kinds of goodness, these are the initial, medial, and final stages of goodness. Purity of practice is the initial stage. The increase of equanimity is the medial stage. Rejoicing is the final stage. What is purity of practice? It is the foundation of all goodness. What is the increase of equanimity? It is fixed meditation. What is rejoicing? It is reflection. Thus, there are 3 kinds of goodness in the 1st meditation, Jhana. 10 characteristics. Fulfillment of the 10 characteristics. These comprise the 3 characteristics of the purity of practice, the 3 characteristics of the increase of equanimity, and the 4 characteristics of rejoicing. What are the 3 characteristics of the purity of practice? The mind purifies itself of that hindrance to the meditation, Jhana. Because of purity, the mind acquires the middle sign of serenity, and from that the mind leaps forward. These are called the 3 characteristics of the purity of practice. What are the 3 characteristics of the increase of equanimity? If the mind is pure, it fulfills equanimity. If it attains to solitude, it fulfills equanimity. If it dwells on one object, it fulfills equanimity. These are called the 3 characteristics. What are the 4 characteristics of rejoicing? Among these 10 characteristics, there is rejoicing by reason of the gradual arising of the states produced. There is rejoicing by reason of the functions of the faculties becoming one. There is rejoicing by reason of the possession of energy. And there is rejoicing by reason of devotion to these states. These are called the 4 characteristics. Thus, in the 1st meditation, Jhana, the 10 characteristics are fulfilled. 25 benefits. In the 1st meditation, initial and sustained application of thought, joy, bliss, and unification of mind are accomplished. Faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom are accomplished. The initial, medial, and final stages of goodness are accomplished. Practice is accomplished. Solitude is accomplished. Dependence is accomplished. Reflection is accomplished. Power is accomplished. Freedom is accomplished. Purity is accomplished. And the super excellent purity is accomplished. Thus a man dwells together with the 25 benefits. These are the excellent stations of the deities. They are produced from tranquility and are called the abodes of joy and bliss. In such excellent abodes, surpassing the humans, do the deities dwell. Hence the Blessed One, the Buddha, declared to the bhikshus. Simile of the bath attendant. Just as a skillful bath attendant or his apprentice heaps up bath powder in a lovely copper vessel, adds water to it, kneads it, and makes it round, saturating it so that it adheres and does not scatter. Just so a bhikshu, having calmed his body and mind, produces joy and bliss and lets it evenly moisten and saturate him in such a way that there is no part of him that is not saturated with it. There is no place in his body or mind that is not saturated with joy and bliss, born of solitude. Like the skillful bath attendant or his apprentice is the yogin. The copper vessel is the Kasina sign. Thus it should be known. What is a Kasina sign? As a copper vessel contains the hard bath powder, which is made fine and bright, so the Kasina sign contains the hard earth, out of which one produces joy, which is soft and pure, and therefore bright. Because the mind and the mental properties feel the object, the copper vessel is said to be like the Kasina sign. Mind and the mental properties are like the bath powder. Thus it should be understood. Why is the bath powder likened to the mind and the mental properties? As bath powder, owing to coarseness, does not adhere and is scattered by the wind, so the mind and mental properties, when they are separated from joy and bliss, become coarse. And if they are separated from concentration, they do not adhere and are scattered by the winds of the 5 hindrances. Therefore, it is said that the bath powder is like the mind and mental properties. What is comparable to water, namely joy and bliss and concentration, as water moistens, renders malleable, makes it round, so joy and bliss moisten and render malleable the mind and mental properties and produce concentration. Therefore, water is like joy and bliss. Like the stirring of the bath powder with water, are initial and sustained application of thought. Thus, they should be understood. What is likened to the rounded thing, namely, initial and sustained application of thought, as a skillful bath attendant puts the bath powder into the copper vessel, mixes it with water, makes it round with his hand, and having made it round, he rounds it further with more wet powder, and puts it into the vessel without scattering. So does the yogin place his mind and mental properties in the object and produce tranquility well. In the first meditation, Jhana, joy and bliss should be regarded as water. Initial and sustained application of thought as the hand that stirs and makes it the powder round. Thus one is able to produce tranquility well. The mind and mental properties become rounded with joy and bliss, and are not scattered because of the mind being kept on the object of meditation. Thus the rounded bath powder is like the initial and sustained application of thought, just as the bath powder is moistened thoroughly, and just as it, through adhering, does not scatter, so the yogin in the first meditation, Jhana, is filled with joy from head to foot, and from foot to scalp, skin, and hair, and dwells without falling. Thus one dwells in the realm of Brahma. Joy and bliss are called formless states. How then can they feel the body? Name depends on form. Form depends on name. Therefore, if name is full of joy, form also is full of joy. If name is full of bliss, form also is full of bliss. And again, form that is bliss produced causes calm of body, and owing to the bliss of form, the entire body is tranquilized. Thus, there is no contradiction. 3 kinds of rebirth. The merit which can produce rebirth in the world of Brahma is thus. In the first meditation, Jhana, there are 3 kinds, lower, middling, and upper. When a man considers the special means, but does not remove the 5 hindrances well, and does not reach the state of freedom, it is called lower meditation, Jhana. When a man considers the special means and removes the 5 hindrances, but does not reach the state of freedom, it is called middling meditation, Jhana. When a man considers the special means, removes the hindrances well, and reaches the state of freedom, it is called higher meditation, Jhana. If a yogin attains to the lower first meditation, Jhana, after his death, he will join the retinue of Brahma, and his lifespan will be 1/3 of an aeon. If he practices the middling first meditation, Jhana, he will, after his death, be reborn as a chief Brahma, and his lifespan will be half an aeon. If he practices the higher first meditation, Jhana, he'll be reborn as a great Brahma, and his lifespan will be 1 aeon. Meditation, which partakes of deterioration, stability, distinction, and penetration. There are 4 kinds of men who acquire the merit of rebirth in the world of Brahma. A man partakes of deterioration, a man partakes of stability, a man partakes of distinction, and a man partakes of penetration. A man of dull faculties causes the rising of meditation, Jhana, but is heedless, and again through 2 kinds of conduct in meditation, Jhana, a man partakes of deterioration. 1. Owing to the denseness of the encompassing impurities, a man has not sufficient energy to destroy the evil discursive thinking which he caused to arise in the past. Thus, owing to the denseness of the encompassing impurities, he deteriorates. Or a man who is desirous of meditation, Jhana, is given to talk, addicted to sleep, and does not endeavor. Hence, he deteriorates. Who falls back and how? There is an opinion that if a man becomes impure of mind, he will fall back. And again there is an opinion, through slow pollution of the mind, one falls back. And again there is another opinion. If a man loses serenity, he falls back. And there is yet another opinion. If a man does not practice for a long time on the sign he caused to arise in the past, he becomes incapable of making it to arise as he likes and does not attain to concentration, so he falls back. If a man of dull faculties dwells heedfully, he acquires the recollectedness of that state and partakes of stability in meditation, jhana. If a man of keen faculties dwells heedfully, he can acquire facility in the second meditation, jhana, which has no initial application of thought. If he develops further, he partakes of distinction in meditation, jhana. If a man of keen faculties dwells heedfully, he can attain to insight with ease, dispelling the thoughts of agitation and anxiety, and developing further, he, through absence of passion, partakes of penetration in meditation, jhana.